Good morning, friends. I welcome all of you to my lecture session on biochemistry for pharmacy students. So here we have been discussing about metabolism of individual amino acids and their biological significance. So here in this lecture session we will discuss in detail about metabolism of branched chain amino acids. Okay, we have very few amino acids are there with branching in their carbon skeleton. So let's go ahead and then see what is their significance and why they are very important for us. In our biochemistry, we have three amino acids. One is valine, leucine, and isoleucine. These are the three amino acids where the carbon skeleton, if you see, it has a branching. So here also we have branching, and here also we have branching. So leucine and isoleucine are structural isomers where the methyl group over here, here in this we have methyl group on this carbon. Okay, so this is it. All these amino acids are essential amino acids, so that's the reason why we have to get them from food. As you are aware, most of the amino acids upon metabolism, they either provide us input for glucose biosynthesis or ketone body formation. Okay, so here also among these three amino acids, valine is purely glucogenic, leucine is purely ketogenic, whereas isoleucine gives inputs both for glucose biosynthesis as well as ketose biosynthesis. So that's the reason why we can call it as glucogenic as well as ketogenic. In the metabolism, it takes up predominantly in skeletal muscles. Okay, because catabolism actually is initiated in skeletal muscles. Because in these three we will have some of the biochemical pathways involved in the catabolism of amino acids. The three reactions will be there which are common. Now let's see. The first reaction which is common for all these three is transamination to give 2-keto carboxylic acid or alpha keto carboxylic acid, which is a common metabolic pathway in amino acids. The next one is oxidative decarboxylation to give acyl coenzyme A thioesters. The last one is dehydrogenation at alpha beta carbon to give 2-alkenoyl coenzyme A thioesters. Okay, so I'll explain you with valine as an example. Let's say if you take valine CH3 and here also you will have CH3 and then CH, NH2 and COOH. Okay, so this will be oxidative deamination happens over here. So thereby what you are going to have is this one, COOH. Like in case of pyruvic acid where we have CH3 will be there here in pyruvic acid, CH3 C double bond with COOH. So alpha keto carboxylic acids are high energy compounds from where the coenzyme A's can be biosynthesized. So here what happens? Double bond O and decarbonylation happens. Carbon dioxide will be eliminated and then coenzyme A will be attached over here. So this is what is going to be formed. This will then be dehydrogenated on alpha and beta carbon. So thereby you are going to get an alkene on this side. Okay, so double bond O S COA. Because all these three are saturated aliphatic chains only. So in all these three, the three stages of metabolism are going to happen. So these three stages of metabolism are going to happen. So this will be input for biosynthesis of various metabolites. Where this is the place where actual difference happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and then see in individual metabolism how actually the changes are happening. So this is what we have seen. Okay, so this alpha beta unsaturated acyl CoA is going to be generated. So as I told you in the beginning, leucine is a ketogenic amino acid. Okay, so in case of ketogenic amino acid, we will get either acetyl CoA or acetoacetyl CoA, so that will help us in producing ketone bodies. One very unique step that is going to happen over here is the first one. Okay, so as we have seen over here, okay, alpha beta unsaturated systems are generated and now this will take up one carbon dioxide. This is what we call it as carboxylation type of reaction, where single carbon unit containing unit is transferred, and biotin is going to help you in the transferase reaction. So here the carbon dioxide is incorporated into the compound as carboxylic acid. So this takes up one water molecule to become 3-hydroxy-3-methyl glutaryl coenzyme A. So this is nothing but hydroxymethyl glutaryl CoA or HMG CoA. So this you might have heard of in fatty acid metabolism and ketone body formation. In case of, I'll just tell you briefly, fatty acids upon metabolism, they will give you acetyl CoAs, okay, because so many acetyl CoAs are generated, so that's why they may react with each other, and then they will give acetyl CoAs, okay. So this will react with one more acetyl CoA to give us HMG CoA, okay. So this is HMG CoA will, if gets reduced, then it will end up in biosynthesis of cholesterol. But up to this, all these steps are reversible, okay, all these steps are reversible. So that's the reason why here HMG CoA that is formed over here, that will split to give us acetoacetate and acetyl coenzyme A. Means splitting is happening over here, so thereby acetyl CoA is generated and acetoacetate is generated. So this acetyl CoA will further follow this pathway, so thereby it also can generate ketone bodies. Okay friends, so this is the reason why leucine is considered as purely ketogenic. Now the second one is valine. Okay, so in valine, one more interesting, a mild small change is happening. Okay, so in case of valine, we have double bonds over here. This is the structure of valine. Okay, this is the alpha beta unsaturated acyl coenzyme A, from where, okay, the first one is it takes up one water molecule H2O. So thereby addition across this double bond gives us an alcohol. Okay, so this alcohol, first one is the removal of the coenzyme A as well as oxidation over here. So thereby we are getting an aldehyde group. So this aldehyde group gets oxidized and then eliminated as carbon dioxide. Means this is oxidative decarbonylation and addition of one coenzyme A to give you propionyl coenzyme A. Okay, so the ultimate objective of this entire exercise is to remove one of the carbon as carbon dioxide to obtain propionyl CoA. So propionyl CoA is also obtained from odd chain fatty acid metabolism. So this propionyl CoA takes up a carbon dioxide to get us methyl malonyl coenzyme A. So this methyl malonyl coenzyme A undergoes a rearrangement where this carbon dioxide carboxylic acid group will shift to the terminal methyl to give us succinyl coenzyme A. Okay, this is a routine process. Okay, whenever and wherever propionyl coenzyme A is generated, so that will end up in biosynthesis of succinyl CoA. Succinyl CoA will enter into citric acid cycle where succinic acid is formed, from where fumaric succinate dehydrogenase enzyme is going to convert succinic acid to fumaric acid. From there it will become malic acid and then that will become oxaloacetate. Okay, oxaloacetate is the starting point for the biosynthesis of glucose. Okay, it will enter into gluconeogenesis. Okay friends, this is the way how valine gets converted to succinyl coenzyme A, which will give us ultimately, which can help us biosynthesize glucose. So this is the reason why we consider valine as glucogenic amino acid. Okay, next one is isoleucine. In case of isoleucine, as we have seen, in the beginning itself, isoleucine should give us both ketone body formation as well as glucose formation. So in case of isoleucine, where exactly changes are happening? So here the alpha beta unsaturated acyl CoA, from here we will start, it takes up one water molecule like in case of valine. Okay, then hydroxy group is formed. This hydroxy group gets oxidized so that a keto group is formed. Now here it will split. Okay, it will split here. So, and by taking up one coenzyme A over here, it is going to generate two coenzyme A's. One is acetyl coenzyme A, the second one is propionyl coenzyme A. Propionyl coenzyme A will follow the same kind of pathway. It will become methylmalonyl CoA and then it will become succinyl CoA. Okay, succinyl CoA will enter into glucose biosynthesis, gluconeogenesis. And acetyl CoA will enter, it will give you ketone bodies. Okay, acetyl CoA will become acetoacetyl CoA, acetoacetyl CoA will become HMG CoA. So this is the way how isoleucine participates in catabolic reactions to generate both ketone bodies as well as gluconeogenesis. Okay, so friends, this is the reason why valine and leucine are considered as single chemical producers. Like in case of valine, it is purely glucogenic. In case of leucine, it is purely ketogenic. In case of isoleucine, it generates both glucose as well as ketone bodies. So valine gives us propionyl CoA, which will be converted to succinyl CoA, and ultimately it is giving inputs for gluconeogenesis, so glucogenic. In case of isoleucine, it is providing us acetyl CoA and propionyl CoA. Okay, so this is the reason why we consider isoleucine as ketogenic as well as glucogenic. In case of leucine, okay, leucine directly provides us HMG CoA. Okay, so this HMG CoA will split to give us acetoacetate and acetyl CoA. Both are ketogenic substituents, ketogenic chemical compounds. One more amino acid is there, though it is not branched side chain amino acid, but its metabolic pathway is very closely related to these three units. So that's why I have incorporated this one also here. Okay, so I have included this one also here. In case of lysine, this is a basic amino acid where we have extra amino group is there. This is an essential amino acid and it is purely ketogenic. Lysine does not undergo transamination directly. Okay, directly means the structure as such, it will not participate in the deamination reaction. First it has to undergo some structural change. So here what happens is the epsilon amino group, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Okay, so at epsilon position, the amino group whatever we have over here, it will be eliminated first, then the actual deamination or transamination takes place, via which the alpha amino group is eliminated. So this is the first reaction, first part of the metabolism, where lysine reacts with alpha ketoglutarate. Okay, so here we have amino group, here we have the keto group. So these two react with each other to give us amino. Okay, so this is the classical example of reductive amination. Okay, reductive amination, where this reaction is supposed to provide us N double bond C type of product. Okay, so this will be simultaneously reduced so that you are going to get this compound. Okay, this is what is happening here. So here reducing agent is NADPH. Okay, and then what happens? This compound will split. Okay, so in the beginning the nitrogen is attached to the carbon of lysine. Okay, and here this bond is going to be split by using a mechanism which is exactly opposite to this formation. So it is also, it looks like a transamination reaction only, but here the substrate coenzymes we have are NADPH and here NAD+. So here the amino group is split. Amino group retains with the alpha ketoglutarate, so that glutamate is formed, and the carbon is going to become aldehyde, because this is the terminal carbon. So that's the reason it is becoming an aldehyde. So carbonyl group used to be there on alpha ketoglutarate. Now the carbonyl group is there on the lysine side. Okay, so this is a simple transamination reaction, but here epsilon amino group present on the epsilon carbon is actually eliminated. Now we have lysine. This gets oxidized to give adipic acid derivative or 2-amino adipate. Okay, 2-amino adipate. So there is a very important role is there for lysine that we will see at the end of the session. So here transamination of the alpha amino group, how actually it happens, let's see. So in case of 2-amino adipate, this undergoes classical transamination reaction. So here 2-ketoglutarate takes up the amino group and then it will become glutamic acid to give us 2-keto adipate. Okay, so this amino group is replaced by a keto group. Now what happens? Decarbonylation happens to become a coenzyme A. So here we have alpha keto carboxylic acid. Okay, so this carboxylic acid will be eliminated to get us the corresponding coenzyme A. Glutaric acid is going to be generated. So we are getting glutaryl coenzyme A. Now again one more carboxylic acid is going to be eliminated via oxidative decarbonylation. This kind of a reaction you will see in citric acid cycle. Okay, so glutaryl coenzyme A is going to be converted to crotonyl coenzyme A by simultaneously removing one carbon dioxide as well as oxidizing this bond to an alkene. Now this will take up one water molecule, so that this will become CH3COH CH2 COSCOA. Okay, so this is the compound, and then this compound will be oxidized. Okay, so thereby what is it that we are getting? This is acetyl coenzyme A. Acetyl coenzyme A is a ketone body. So friends, I hope you understood how actually lysine became acetyl coenzyme A. So in case of lysine, only uniqueness is there in the presence of amino group at epsilon position. So here because lysine is a functional molecule in some of the proteins that are there in our body. So its functional role dominates actual catabolism. Hence the epsilon amino group that is present on the lysine is actually supposed to be deaminated to make it functional. Okay, and then the resultant metabolite that we got, that 2-amino adipate, will further get deaminated via classical transamination reaction by using ketoglutarate glutamate cycle. Thereby first we get 2-ketoglutarate, that will become glutaryl coenzyme A, and ultimately it is going to give us acetoacetate molecule. Okay, acetoacetyl coenzyme A. And here the importance of lysine is in maintenance of the health of collagen and elastin. Okay, so these are the two very important proteins that are present in our body. So these L-lysyl derivatives, okay, L-lysyl side chains, where on terminal we have aldehyde group. So aldehyde groups are highly reactive. So they may undergo self-condensation by using aldol type of reaction, or they may react with nearby amino groups of the lysine group. So thereby they will form covalent cross links. Okay, so if a muscle fiber is like this, another muscle fiber is like this, we have lysine over here, we have lysine over here. So these two will react with each other, and it is like this. Okay, so these two will react, and if we have lysines, so this is what we call it as covalent cross links. So these covalent cross links will increase first physical strength, okay, and they will add elasticity elasticity to the polymer fiber, and also their physicochemical properties, because they can entrap moisture, so they can form something like gel like structure. Okay, so these are some of the unique features that you are going to get in case of protein cross linkings. Okay, both the physical strength is enhanced and some unique physicochemical properties are going to come, like elasticity. So friends, this is the way how lysine is actually participating in our biochemical reactions, and they are helping us in the maintenance of collagen fiber as well as elastin fiber physicochemical properties and their functionality. I hope you understood the biochemical reactions of biochemical significance of the branched chain amino acids like valine, leucine, isoleucine, and one basic amino acid, that is lysine. And if you have any doubts, I hope you understood the subject, but if you have any doubts, please let me know through the comment section. Please share this video with your friends and subscribe to my YouTube channel to get latest updates, and I'll see you again with another very interesting lecture soon. Thank you.